Hello everyone! In the last couple of videos, we started setting up our React front end for our social media application. So we already set up React with Webpack and with TypeScript, and in the previous video, we added support for Jest, React testing library, and Cypress. But there is still a little bit of work to do because we need to integrate Prettier, Eslint, and the pre-commit hooks. Now, static analysis automation goes a long way in preventing bad code from entering our repository, and as any production-grade project, we definitely want to check for code formatting and for basic linting rules before we commit our code. This doesn't mean that our code is going to be free of bugs and free of errors. Of course, there are many other ways that bugs can enter our code, but at least it's not going to be from the side of static analysis. Enough chit chat, let's check the agenda for today. Here is a more detailed breakdown of what we're going to do in this video. We start by installing Eslint dependencies. We then move to installing Prettier dependencies. We will install Husky and lint-staged. We then add some Prettier configuration, some Eslint configuration, and then we adjust the package.json file and the CI checks, like so. There is a lot of installation, a lot of scripts that we just need to run from the command line and then add a bit of configuration to the project. I'm sorry for this much setup. I know that the previous 2 or 3 videos were setup videos and it may not seem that we are doing a lot of progress, but this is really necessary if we want our project to have any serious setup, right? So to have any production-like setup, because in production you wouldn't really install the dependencies once and then forget about them, or you wouldn't really want your code not to be checked against formatting rules or against linting rules or against TypeScript rules, right? So we really want this configuration over the long run. This is going to save us so much time, and here we just need maybe this and one more video for setup, and we can continue developing new functionalities afterwards. So let's start by installing the Eslint dependencies. I will copy this first command. I'm going to install the eslint config Airbnb TypeScript. So I really like the Airbnb setup. However, it doesn't work very well with, or it doesn't work out of the box with TypeScript. And this is where this eslint config plugin comes into play. I will copy this command, and within the command line here, I'm in master, so I'll need to check out another branch. Let's say add eslint Prettier, like so. It doesn't need to be longer than this. I'll just install the, oops, sorry, let me cancel this. It was a small mistake. We are inside the unsocial app folder. Let me come back to the IDE. Maybe there is some file here, some created file. No, luckily not. Let's check that there are no changes. No changes. So I will change into the web client directory. And now I can run the command to install the Airbnb TypeScript plugin. With that installed, the next one I want to install is the Eslint config Airbnb as well as its peer dependencies. So be careful here, I'm running npx, not npm, because this install-peerdeps is a package that will then install the Eslint config Airbnb as well as its peer dependencies. I'll copy this and paste into my terminal, just run the command. It's going to take a bit of time because it will install more packages, but once this is done, we will make sure that all the dependencies that are necessary for the Eslint config Airbnb will be installed in our project. As you can see, it says here npm install, so it gives a list of all the plugins that, or all the packages that will be installed. Here, if I just roll down a little bit, we'll see success. Eslint config Airbnb and its peer dependencies were installed successfully. If I come back to the IDE here and within the web client directory, I should see a big list of new packages in our dev dependencies. So there is the Eslint config, Airbnb TypeScript, import, JSX, li, and so on. Not li, but A11y, and then React and React hooks. Let's then move on to the last line for the Eslint, and it is to install some Jest related and TypeScript linting related plugins. I'll copy this and paste again in my terminal. All these commands are also going to be in the description of the video, so you don't really need to worry about pausing and copying them letter by letter. There is a lot of room for typos. Make sure you just check the description and you can copy and paste from there. With the Eslint dependencies installed, before we do any additional configuration, let's add the Prettier dependencies as well. So remember, from the auth package or from the auth folder, we are using Eslint to check the Prettier rules. So we really want some integration there. And because of that, I think it makes sense that we install all the packages that we need beforehand instead of just going into configuring Eslint and then configuring it halfway and installing Prettier, then finishing the configuration of Eslint. So maybe we just install everything and then we finish configuring both Eslint and Prettier for the project. Back here in the browser, I'll just expand the Prettier dependencies, and this is another command that will be in the description. I'll just copy and paste this in the terminal. This should be everything that we need, at least for now, or maybe if I forgot to listen or to list any of the dependencies in these commands in the video, I will have the updated ones in the description, but I think this is everything we need. So with all the dependencies installed, let's move on to the configuration of both Eslint and Prettier. Within my web client directory, I'm going to create a new file called .eslint.rc.js. And here I'll say module.exports is going to be a big object. Now the first key I want to add here is the extends key, and my ID is already auto-completing here, but the extends is going to be an array of configuration that we want to extend. The first one is the Airbnb TypeScript. The second one is the Airbnb /hooks. And this is because we are using React hooks in our project. The third one is called plugin : at TypeScript -eslint /recommended, like so. The fourth one is plugin : jest /recommended. We then want to make sure we are extending the Prettier configuration and also the Prettier /react configuration. We then need to add two more lines. The first one is Prettier /at TypeScript -eslint. And the final one is plugin : Prettier /recommended. We then need to add a plugins array here at the bottom, which is going to tell us which plugins are being used by Eslint: the React plugin, the Prettier plugin, the at TypeScript -eslint plugin, and the jest plugin. We will also add an additional configuration here called env, and because we are running Eslint in a browser scenario, we will set browser to true. We will also set ES6 to true, and we will set jest to true as well. Finally, we'll add two more pieces of configuration here: the parser options, where I'm going to specify the project that is under, or that is to be considered by Eslint, and this is defined by the tsconfig.json file, and the first of our rules. So here, this rules is an object, and the first one I want to define is that if there are any Prettier errors, throw an error. Okay, so if there are any Prettier problems, just throw an error. Don't let me commit with Prettier problems. That's it for the Eslint file. Let's also add a Eslint ignore file, so .eslint ignore file, where we want to exclude the node modules directory. We also want to exclude any build directory, any dist directory, and the package-lock.json file. This should be everything for Eslint. Let's then add a new file for Prettier, and Prettier configuration is just .prettierrc. Here I will export an object, and the only one that I will turn off or that I will turn on is the single quote. Single quote I'm going to mark to true. I will then come back to the package.json file, and let's add the scripts to run both the linting and the Prettier checking and formatting to our code. The first one is lint, and this is nothing more than Eslint. Oops, sorry, small mistake here. This is nothing more than Eslint, and I will say the directory that I want to, or the files that I want to check will be I need to escape these double quotes. Well, in Mac, it would work to use single quotes or no quotes at all, but I think that is not compatible with Windows. So I'll just escape them. And within here, I will pass the pattern that I want Eslint to check. So it's just going to be the source directory, all the files under the source directory. And here they can have any extension. TS and TSX are the ones we want to check. And here we can also add JS and JSX if we wanted to, but for the moment we really don't plan on having any JS or JSX files. We can just leave TS and TSX and extend this in the future if necessary. For the Prettier command, we can just copy this and I'll say Prettier fix and Prettier check. Here I will say Prettier, the fix will have a write to the source directory, and the Prettier, normal Prettier, will have nothing. That should be enough for now. Let's come back to the terminal and let's run Prettier fix. And oops, we have a small error, and as I told you, we have a lot of dependencies. I simply forgot to install as save dev the Prettier. It's quite important, right? If we want to work with Prettier, we should install it. I just forgot among the many plugins. I think I missed this one. So now it should be fine. We'll just run Prettier fix and it will adjust our files. Now we can run lint and make sure that everything is working correctly. Perfect. No warnings nor anything, which means that our files are correctly formatted. One small comment here. As you can see, we are linting the source directory. We are not including yet the Cypress directory. We would like to include it in the future, but because it will take a little bit of time until we start working with Cypress, we'll postpone a little bit configuring the sharing of configuration between the Cypress project and our root project. Remember, we have added a specific TS config to the Cypress directory. This means that because we are working with somewhat conflicting configurations here, especially when it comes to the test runners, there may be the need for additional setup. And here I want to make sure that we have the linting and the formatting for the root project. And because we're not going to work with Cypress anytime very soon, I mean, maybe in the next few videos we start writing a few tests, but for the moment the setup will focus on the source directory. There is still quite a bit of code that we would like to write within the source directory before we actually start writing any end-to-end tests. The next step is for us to install Husky and lint-staged, and then we will add the configuration to the package.json file. I'll copy the command, and back at my terminal I'll clear the output and run the install command. Now that the install command is completed, we can come back to our package.json file and add the Husky and the lint-staged configuration. I'll just come to the auth directory because we have a very similar configuration here. I'll copy this and paste it inside of our package.json file for the web client project. So here, not only the TS files need to be checked, also the TSX files need to be checked. We will run Prettier fix, we will run linting, and then we will add everything to the repository or to the Git commit. Here in the pre-commit hooks, we definitely want to run lint-staged. We want to run the npm run test. But here we also have the Cypress tests that we want to run, right? So here it's this command test : Cypress. And here npm run test : Cypress. Let's also add the TypeScript commands here: npm run tsc check and npm run tsc Cypress. We can actually do this also for the auth project. I forgot to add this here, but we can add npm run tsc check within the auth package. And the last part of the puzzle is to come back to our CI script and add these little commands also to our CI checks. So for the auth package, we already have the tsc check, but here in the web client, we still need to add npm run lint and npm run Prettier. And I think Prettier check, right? So let me just confirm the name in package.json, Prettier check, exactly. And that's it for this video for what we wanted to implement in terms of configuration. Let's come back to the terminal Let's check the status of the changes. So now I'll come back to the root directory. I will add everything and I will commit by saying that is going to be maybe a core task, because we also touched a little bit of the auth package. I will not add any scope here, and we will say add eslint prettier pre-commit config. Like so. So I will just run this command and let's see the output. Oops, there is a small problem here, which is really not that small. What happens is that once we have this configuration like so, by informing a project to our TypeScript command, it is going to run into a conflict with the npm run tsc check command in lint-staged. What do I mean by that? Well, once we run the lint-staged command, let's go back to the terminal here, you will see that it will expand all the file names here into the command. So it's going to simply place all of them at the end of the command. Now, TypeScript, as it happens due to the configuration, it cannot be run with both the project flag and the name of the files, right? This is what it says here at the bottom. Option project cannot be mixed with source files on a command line. One way of fixing this is to remove the TypeScript check, so tsc check from here, and we can add it here, and npm run tsc check and npm run tsc cypress, like so, and npm run tsc cypress. Okay, this doesn't seem very nice. There are lots of commands here and it's hard to understand what is going on. But for the moment, let's leave it like this. Here in the auth, I will also copy this and add to the end of the pre-commit command. And let's go back to the terminal and make sure that everything is being correctly committed. I'll add everything again and I'll run the command here. As you can see, all the Cypress tests and also the unit tests are being run by the pre-commit hook. Also the TSC commands, so it's checking everything and everything works as expected. I'm at the Husky documentation and I just want to show you that there is really not a viable option to having a lot of ands in the pre-commit command or in the pre-commit key. The other option would be to have a husky.js file where we would have maybe an array here that would in the end just be joined with an ampersand. So it's really what it is for Husky. We need to deal with it. We need to have this maybe a little bit longer comments here for the pre-commit hook. Also, especially here that we have a lot of checks. What we can do is to summarize these comments, right? So what we can do, for example, here in the test, so we have test and test Cypress, we have TSC and TSC Cypress. So what we can do is within our script section, let's add a new test:all script, and this is going to simply run npm run test : or npm run test and npm run test : Cypress, and we will also add a command tsc:all. This is going to be npm run tsc check and npm run tsc cypress. Now we can substitute this here. We will simply say lint-staged and npm run test all and npm run tsc:all. Now it's a little bit cleaner. There are not so many checks, but or not so many commands, but still we are doing the same behind the scenes, just keeping it a little bit cleaner. I'll save this, add everything to the repository, and I'll commit the changes. This is going to be a simple refactor in the terminal app. Change pre-commit script. Now let's see that everything is working as expected. This is the first command, so it's the run test all, and it's going to run both test commands. And this is the second command, the tsc:all. So everything seems to be working correctly. With the changes committed, I will push this to our remote repository, add Eslint Prettier. And back here in GitHub, I will create a pull request for this branch. So that's nothing more than a core task, add Eslint Prettier pre-commit checks. I'll create a pull request and let's wait for the results of the automated checks, because now we have new checks, at least or mostly in the web client project. That's it, both our checks are passing. Merging this, deleting the base branch, coming back to the terminal here, I'll clear everything, I'll check out master, pull, and update the dependency updates branch. Git merge master, check everything, git push, and that should be it. That's it for this video, and now we have a very solid setup with a lot of tools that will be very useful for us during development. So we have Webpack, we have TypeScript, we have Jest, React testing library, we have Cypress, Eslint, Prettier, and the pre-commit hooks that are going to check our code before we commit changes. There is still something missing, and that is production, of course. So in the next video we will come back, we will add a production script, and we will create a basic Docker file just so that we build the production files and we ship them with a simple Nginx server. If you want to get notified once this video is out, make sure to subscribe to the channel and you will get a small notification when the video is uploaded. And finally, suggestions, requests for topics, tips, criticisms, everything is welcome. I'm really happy to hear from you, because it shows me whether I'm going in the right direction or if I need to make some small adjustments here or there. It shows me whether you enjoy the topics I'm talking about. It also shows me whether you enjoy the style of these videos or if I could make something new, something different. So please give me your feedback so that I can improve this channel over time. It's very important for me and it's very, very beneficial for you. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.